Hi, so just a few things we're going to need to make the pot today. First of all, for safety reasons, please always make sure that you have a mask on and that you're wearing gloves. Really important that you do wear these things every time you are making a concrete pot. Next thing is scales. I like to use scales to weigh out my cement ore along with the coloured powdered oxides. So you only really need a small amount of the oxides, the colouring, and weighing it out I think just gives you an overall better appearance of the vessel once it's actually complete. Mixing bowls. I got these mixing bowls off eBay. They came in a set of 3 and I find them to be really good to mix the cement and the colouring in. They're really good and easy to clean as well. Couple of spatulas. The spatula, the red one, came with the mixing bowls, and as I said, they're really good to mix with. I used to use the wooden sticks from the hardware store, but I found that it was a lot harder getting the lumps out. So the spatulas, they work really well when mixing. Wipes come in handy to use if you've got a spill or even just wiping out. I normally only have a small amount left of cement in the bowl, so even just wiping them out, they come in really handy. Water to mix in with your colour oxide and the cement ore. I like to use bottled water. I find you don't get as many air bubbles by using the bottled water when mixing. These are just a few of the oxide pigments that I use. I like to have them in little containers just sitting on the workbench because I don't have a great deal of room. So just taking them out of the big couple of kilo tubs that they come in and putting them into small ones, it just makes it a bit easier when making them. And last of all, a mould. Of course, you will need a mould when you're making your pot, and this is just a recent one I purchased and I really like this mould. So today, this is the one we'll be using. Okay, we'll come back shortly and we'll start making our pot. Okay, so let's go. First of all, we need to measure out our cement ore. So with this vessel, I normally use about 300 grams. I find that's the perfect amount. And once again, it can depend on the weather. The weather plays a lot to do with it. If it's really hot, you might find that you're going to need some more water than what you normally would. But you have to always make sure too that you don't overdo it with the water or the oxides, because that can affect the outcome of your vessel. It can cause cracks and various things. So really important, as I said, it's really best to try and measure everything out if you can. Now with the white, with this little bowl here, this spoon, I don't need to measure this on the scale because I actually know exactly how much. Normally 2 spoonfuls is exactly what I need for that. With this colour now, we'll just measure the pigment powder out. And this colour is really dark. It doesn't look it, but it actually comes, even though you use just a small amount, it actually comes out quite dark. So I always just add in a small amount of the titanium dioxide into this just to help lighten it up a little bit because it is so dark. Okay, now I always also like to mix in the cement with the colour before I add the water. Some people like to add the colour into the water, but I've never done it that way. I've always just done it this way and it's always worked out nicely for me. So you just stick with what works for you. Give them both a good mix. Now with the water, I don't normally weigh the water because, as mentioned before, depending on the temperature outside, it can impact. So most people say they like to get it to a pancake consistency. I actually like to have it a little bit thicker than that, but that's just my personal choice. Give it a good mix, making sure you get all the lumps out. Put a bit more water in that in a minute. We'll just mix the white. So get it all mixed in. Once again, you're always best just to add a smaller amount and just increase it if you need to. Because if you add too much water and then you have to add more cement, it can become a bit of an issue. Always better just to add smaller amounts of water to start with. Okay, so that looks fine. Just put a bit more water in this one. Just a little bit more. Okay. And with these bowls, you can actually squeeze them for pouring purposes, which makes it really easy. And then we'll just do a little swirl effect. Now, because I like to do mine a little bit thicker, when I get to the end, what I normally do is just scrape out what is in the white mixing bowl into the mixing bowl that has the colour. And then just give that like a little bit of a swirl. And then I just pour that in there. And then, as mentioned, that's a little bit big, we'll just take that off for a minute. 300 grams is perfect for this size mould. Put that back on, and just give it a couple of taps. And that is it. We'll come back in about 4 hours and we'll unmould it and see what it looks like. Okay, so here we are now 4 hours later, and we can unmould this concrete vessel that we made earlier today. This mold's really easy to remove too, is another reason why I like it. Okay, so there it is. And we'll just do a bit of smoothing on the bottom and it's all good to go. Thanks for watching, and if you liked my video, please give me a thumbs up, and you can follow me on Instagram at Coconut Coast Candles. Thanks, bye.